So, good evening, everybody. For the next 12 to 13 minutes, I'll be talking on this very common problem rampant across the globe, air pollution. Time for a wake up call. We are amidst a chakravyuh of pollutions, as you can see on the slide. But today I'm going to talk only on air pollution. Air pollution is ubiquitous and is a global problem. The World Heart Federation has brought a full document on air pollution in May 2024 for cleaning the air for healthy hearts. But the problem is, air pollution is highly under-recognized, poorly addressed public health issue. The awareness among the medical fraternity is suboptimal, and therefore is a time for a wake-up call for all of us. Air pollution is an established risk factor for pulmonary disease. There's nothing new about it. But now it's also an established risk factor for cardiovascular disease. Globally, every year, 7 million patients die prematurely from air pollution, 34% from ischemic heart disease, and 20% from stroke, which means 54% die from a cardiovascular disease. It's also linked to type 2 diabetes. As per IDF, 20% increase in prevalence of diabetes is because of air pollution. And it's also linked to MASLD and many other diseases, as we'll see. So what does air pollution mean? Air pollution implies contamination of indoor or outdoor environment by any physical, chemical or biological agent that modifies the natural characteristics of the atmosphere that is harmful to human being and other species. These are the major pollutants. We have particulate matter, 2.5, 10 and 0.1. PM 2.5 is the major culprit and is 50 to 70 times smaller than the hair. So you can imagine the size is so small. We have various gases, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, nitric oxide, carbon monoxide, ozone, and volatile organic compounds, and the heavy metals, the cadmium, lead, and mercury. These are the major culprits of outdoor pollution. As you can see, occasionally, most of them are human-made. Occasionally, you can have the natural sources, as you can see on the right side of the slide. These are the four major culprits of outdoor pollution. Vehicular traffic, which is rampant in the metros, construction, power plants, agriculture, including parali burning or stubble burning. A diesel car produces more pollution than a petrol car. CNG car is not totally green. Electric vehicle is a good solution but not widely applied. These are the sources of indoor pollution: coal burning, kerosene stoves, wood burning, cow dung burning, and so on. How to assess air pollution? It's commonly assessed by air quality index. 0 to 50 is good, 50 to 100 moderate, 100 to 150 is bad for those who are suffering from obstructive air disease and other pulmonary diseases. 150 to 200 is healthy, 200 to 300 is very unhealthy, and more than 300 is very unhealthy or rather hazardous. This AQI can be seen on our mobile pen anytime round the clock, but is hardly practiced. So even if you want to know what is your AQI this place, you can immediately see. What are the ravages of air pollution? The PM 2.5 is the major culprit because it is powered to cross the alveolar blood barrier. Once it reaches the crosses the alveolar blood barrier, it stiffens the arteries, produces hypertension. It is pro-inflammatory, increases oxidative stress, produces atherosclerosis, myocardial infarction, stroke. It gets deposited in any part of the body. Once it gets deposited in the myocardium, it produces arrhythmias and heart failure. It also produces diabetes by a dual mechanism. It gets deposited in the beta cell, decreases insulin secretion, and also increases insulin resistance because it is pro-inflammatory and increases oxidative. It's also linked to CKD and many other diseases. These are the multiple mechanisms by which air pollution affects the cardiovascular system. Air pollution and hypertension. Short-term exposure to PM 2.5 is associated with elevation of blood pressure, but long-term produces sustained hypertension. Every increase in PM 2.5 by plus 25 microgram per cubic millimeter can raise your blood pressure by 3.5 to 5 millimeter depending on the BMI. And this is data from the India. You can see 5,000 patients, and it shows the link between air pollution and development of hypertension, particularly systolic blood pressure. You can see it got elevated by 3.3. The whole community blood pressure may be elevated by 3 to 5 millimeters, and you can imagine the devastating effects. Everybody gets hypertension in the community. Now it's also very much linked to ACS, and a lot of data is emerging. Now this is a very exciting and incriminating data. This is an OCT based data, optical coherence tomography. All patients who were included in this study, their pollution data was known for last 2 years. Then only they were included. And if you look 126 patients, 67, median age 67, 66 patient had plaque rupture, and it was seen those area where patients were residing, if the PM 2.5 level were more, they were more prone to development of thin cap fibrous trauma and even plaque rupture. And this value, as you can see, was p-value was significant. And again, you can see if there's more pollution with PM 2.5, you can develop plaque rupture, TCFA, and also macrophage infiltration. Now this is again data from 11 European cohorts from the ASCO projects, and you can see these patients, roughly 1 million patients, they were followed for 10 years, 1997 to 2007, and you can see for every increase in PM10 of 10 microgram per cubic millimeter, the hazard ratio increases by 12%, and in the context of PM 2.5, every increase only 5 microgram per cubic millimeter, you can see the hazard ratio has increased by 12%. Now this is the data from the China PR project. Again, you can see 1 million patients followed for 15 years, and you can see for every increase in PM 2.5 by 10 microgram per cubic millimeter, the increase in the CVD incidence is 1.25, and you can see the curve gradually steeps up. And for CV mortality, every increase with 10 microgram per cubic millimeter, it is 1.164. It's also been related to coronary calcium. You can see this data for each 5 microgram PM 2.5 per cubic meter increase in CAC progressed by 4.1 per year, and for each 40 ppb nitrogen oxide, coronary calcium progressed by 4.8. So now we have data that the coronary calcium also increases with air pollution, and we know coronary calcium is a marker of coronary artery disease. Is also linked to heart failure, and you can see that the strongest evidence is right on the day of exposure. So if you are exposed to air pollution which is above the range, you are predisposed to heart failure. Your heart failure may get precipitated on that very day. And you can see this is data PM 2.5 or PM 2.10, they are incriminated in heart failure. So also carbon monoxide, sulfur dioxide, and nitrogen dioxide, but ozone is not linked, the values are not significant. Is also related to stroke, and this is again a review and meta-analysis of long-term PM 2.5 exposure, and you can see every increase in 10 microgram per cubic millimeter increase in PM 2.5, you see 23% increase in the IHD mortality, 13% increase in the incident stroke, cerebrovascular mortality 24%, MI only 8%. Is also linked to stroke. Short-term exposure doesn't affect, but long-term exposure, you can see the hazard ratio is 1.14. And is very well shown that is linked to diabetes. If this is the data from Chennai and Delhi, every 10 microgram per cubic millimeter, increase in the annual average of PM 2.5. You can see the incidence of diabetes increased by 22%, and the IDF data also supports this. Air pollution produces diabetes by a dual mechanism. It damages the beta cells and increases the insulin resistance. Is also linked to MASLD. As you can see, this is data of 17,000 patients, 4,000 patients had an FLD. As the level crosses 60 or 70, younger individual, lean and women, they are prone for MASLD. Air pollution, there's no specific treatment at the moment. Prevention is the only treatment. Artificial rain is only a temporary solution for areas which have very high air pollution. The preventive measures are known to all of us, but they are not practiced, as displayed on the slide. The indoor measures for air pollution also very well known to us, but not usually practiced. Air purifiers are useful. The HEPA filters capable of removing 0.3 mm particles with 99.97 efficacy, and the pure HF trial is ongoing to judge the effectiveness of indoor air purifiers on heart failure outcome. The trial is ongoing. Artificial rain is only a temporary solution, and this basically involves sodium silver silver iodide crystal particle. They reach the targeted cloud with humidity more than 40%. Silver iodide aids in the formation of ice crystal. Ice crystal being too heavy, they come down in the form of rain. China, we are very proud of China. China has done a dramatic work in minimizing air pollution. You can see the right side and the left side. After, it's so clean, and it has a lot of pollution in the past. So pollution is a major inadequately addressed cardiopulmonary metabolic risk factor and a seriously ignored public health issue, and needs urgent focus and attention from all of us. Unless cohesive efforts are executed, it cannot be minimized. So all of us know Earth is the only planet known so far to harbor life. There's nowhere else, at least in near future, where we could migrate. So it's mandatory for all of us to join in a cohesive manner to minimize the ubiquitous problem air pollution. Thank you very much for your kind attention.